The Atlanta child murders were a series of killings that took place in Atlanta, Georgia between 1979 and 1981. The victims were primarily African American children, adolescents, and young adults. The case garnered significant attention due to the number of victims and the apparent targeting of young individuals in the African American community. Beginning of the murders, 1979. The first known victim in the series was Edward Hope Smith, a 14-year-old boy who went missing on July 21, 1979. His body was found 6 days later in a wooded area. Over the next 2 years, more African American children and young adults went missing and were subsequently found murdered. Racial and social tensions. The murders took place against a backdrop of racial tensions and socioeconomic challenges in Atlanta. The city was undergoing significant changes with the rise of the civil rights movement and increased activism within the African American community. The cases brought attention to systemic issues and disparities affecting minority communities. Investigation. The Atlanta Police Department struggled to solve the case, in part due to the lack of concrete evidence and reliable witnesses. The victims varied in age, gender, and circumstances, making it difficult to establish a clear pattern. The authorities faced criticism for their handling of the investigation, which some believed was influenced by racial biases. Wayne Williams. Wayne Bertram Williams, a young African-American man, came under suspicion in connection with the murders. He was stopped by police on a bridge crossing the Chattahoochee River, which divided Atlanta on May 22, 1981. At the time, he was in his car, and the police were investigating reports of a splash in the river. Williams was eventually charged and convicted of the murders of 2 adult victims, Nathaniel Cater and Jimmy Ray Payne. The evidence against Williams included fiber analysis linking his home and car to some of the victims. Controversy. The investigation and trial of Wayne Williams were contentious. While Williams was convicted of 2 murders, he was also considered a suspect in several other child murders. Critics argued that the evidence against Williams was circumstantial, and there were concerns about racial bias in the investigation and trial process. Some believed that the police focused on Williams to quell public fears and pressure to solve the case. Aftermath. The trial concluded in 1982, and Wayne Williams is serving a life sentence for the murders of Cater and Payne. The Atlanta child murders remain officially unsolved, as many of the cases were closed without convictions. The FBI and local law enforcement later reopened the investigation in the 2000s, but no additional charges were brought. The Atlanta child murders case had a lasting impact on both the city of Atlanta and the wider public perception of law enforcement's handling of missing children cases. The case highlighted systemic issues within the criminal justice system and raised questions about the fairness of investigations involving minority communities. It remains a tragic and complex chapter in American criminal history.